to him about that, how he fishes shallow water, how he finds these out of the way. I think weren't you guys out fishing today?
Kinda.
More like trying to film something. Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University live on Tuesday night. I am excited to have you guys here watching. We've got an amazing show. I'm really excited to have this guest on tonight. We're going to have a brand new Elite Series champ, Lee Livesey, who just won a massive tournament down at Lake Chickamauga. You know, if you had a chance to watch this tournament, some guys might not be excited because there wasn't fish catches every second, but to me, it was one of the funnest, most dynamic tournaments of the year. It was an absolute blast to watch. It was full of lead changes. Every big fish that was caught, a new leader would emerge, and it just showcased, some of the best anglers in the world battling on the biggest stage, making tough decisions, mental toughness, just decision making, and how all these things come into play to be able to win one of these tournaments. And it was just amazing. It was outstanding to watch. It came down to the very, very last second, and I was thrilled to watch it. And I'm thrilled to have our guest back on Bass University Live, Lee Livesey. He's going to be talking to us about mat fishing. That's what we're talking about tonight, guys. This fall time of year is a time of year where the grass, if you have a lake that has grass in it, the grass is dying. It's at its most mature, or it's dying off. Either way, it's creating, thick mats, thin mats, mats that are alive, mats that are dead, mats that have algae. How do you dissect them, especially on a place like the Chickamauga, like the Chick? What's the lake called?
Chickamauga.
I got you.
Chickamauga. So bring your questions. We're gonna be tackling that topic tonight, and we have one of our favorites, co-host tonight here in studio, fresh off that tournament, back with us after 3 in a row from the Elites GDP. How are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. What's going on? Ready to go again, though. I can tell you that.
Well, you don't have to wait very long. You're going to be down in Texas in no time.
Yeah, I gotta actually win that one against the guy we have on tonight. We're both battling for the classic, so I got to beat Lee Livesey, the main guide on Fork.
Right? Yeah, that's a tall order, but hey, maybe he'll fall victim to the home lake disadvantage. The home lake jinx. Well, that'll be cool. I know you guys are leaving pretty soon. Are you exhausted from 3 weeks in a row?
I am not one bit, not at all. Like I tried to sleep in the other day. I got to like 7:30 and I had to get up. I couldn't take it no more.
Right, your body clock is ready to go.
Yeah, this time of the year, end of the season, man. Getting up early every day for the whole year. I'm just ready to go still.
Yeah,
yep.
I love this time of year too. It's tough fishing, it's challenging, but man, it's one of my favorites.
Me too.
And I was fortunate. I fished up on Champlain while you were away, and it's on fire up there. And the Chesapeake up around here is starting to get going. But down in the southern waters, it's challenging. The fish are all over the place, and boy, did you guys have some really difficult, challenging events.
Yeah, they were different. We kind of spoke off the air, guys. Me and Pete did, and we're not going to get into kind of how I was missing the fish, if you will. But we'll talk about that later a little bit. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah,
because what I love about it, and I told you this, and this is great, guys. If you're learning how to fish, if you're a competitor, finding the fish is the hardest part, right? Patterning them, that is by far the most difficult thing in this sport. When you're missing them and your strike to catch ratio is down, to me, I get excited about that, because that's mechanics. There's something that you can fix, and it's the easiest fix. Like, you can't teach somebody that easily how to find them.
Yep. It's a weird headspace to be in, though.
Yeah, it is.
When you're losing them like that, Pete, remember last year I was going through that at the end of the season last year, where I was losing all those fish on the Delaware, partly because Brian would try and knock them off with the net. But outside, other than that, I was also losing them. And it's such a it's a weird headspace, but Pete, you're hitting it on the head that it's something in your equation, your mechanics.
Yeah, it's an easier headspace than, oh my God, I can't find fish anywhere I go.
You're right.
You get lost, you get spun out, and believe, and I know what you're talking about, Riz, but boy, with a few adjustments, if you can figure them out, man, it changes everything. So, so I'm excited about that for you. And of course, we got BTC and the Riz in the house tonight. What's going on, boys?
Very excited to be back. Love this going weekly thing. It's pretty rad.
Yeah,
man.
People seem to be liking it. We're getting a lot more people watching Bass University Live. Thanks everybody for watching. It's great to have you guys with us.
Yeah, I'm doing a much better job talking about fishing than actually catching them. So, hey, whatever.
Well, now wait a minute. I heard that you got a W this weekend.
We did. I didn't catch a fish, but we got a W.
You drove the boat, though.
I drove the boat. I put us around them.
Yeah.
My partner Dave Haas caught it. Basically, second cast of the day. Caught a 4-pound smallmouth or 20-inch smallmouth in a Slay Nation event, and that's all it took.
Wow.
It was a grinder. Yeah. Fall
so.
fishing. I mean, we're still transition.
When?
This isn't fall fishing. This is transition right now. Water temp was 65 still, so.
Well, it was good. I'll take a win any way I can get it, and that was a great job. It's good because you've had kind of a hard season this year, so
thank you.
It's good. It's good to get the W, man.
Yeah, it'd been even better to get a bite. But
Brian,
that's cool.
Can you tell us what you said in the group chat the other night about what the fish are telling you? Your pace and the fish.
I actually forget.
So you said Johnny tells me I fish too fast. Mike tells me I fish too slow, and the fish tell me I need to find another hobby.
That's right. That's pretty funny. I need to find something else to do.
You can't stop it. Brian, you were out in the boat. It was awesome to have you out in the boat.
It was a good time, Pete.
It was. Jesse was with us, a big fan of Ike Live and Bass University, and it was great to have him come out from Wisconsin. Day. Yep, we had a blast. Smallmouth, largemouth.
Yeah,
met Dr. Kayak, and created a few other crazy nicknames out there.
And I got outfished by a guy with a Senko. So it was a great day. I had such a blast.
It's so much fun to watch your face when somebody sets the hook on a Senko. It's
especially when they're weren't looking for 3 minutes or 4 minutes, or got their rod tip in the water, listening to you tell a story, and there's one. That's cool.
It's so funny. The simple frustration. It's fun. You make it fun, Brian. So it was good to have you out in the boat.
Yeah, I got to try less hard. Something.
Well, we caught plenty of fish that day, and Riz caught plenty of fish this weekend.
Yes.
You were active as well.
I fished 2 tournaments this weekend. Came in second place in both, first loser, if you will. But I had a club tournament on Davis Mill Pond, locally here in South Jersey, on Saturday with my dad. That was a tough tournament. Water got muddy. Figured something out at the end of the day, but didn't quite have enough time to really expand on it. And then Sunday, fished a tournament on the Upper Chesapeake with our good friend of the show, Darren Brooks. And we managed a meager bag for the Upper Chesapeake Bay, but right now the weights have been a little bit lower, so we would have finished in second place. It was an interesting tournament the way it's set up. It's called the South Jersey Bass Bowl, where it's a team format. So there's 3 boats to a team, and the team's aggregate weight is what's measured upon. So as a team, for the 3 boats, we would have came in third. For individual, Darren and I would have came in second. And we had 2 patterns kind of developed throughout the day. One was an incoming tide, high tide, or an incoming tide rock pattern. As the water was moving up on those rocks that the sunlight had been baking on, we could get bites doing that. And then we opened up a little shade line pattern on the outsides of docks, which was pretty cool. It was the first time I had really tapped into that. So it was a fun tournament. Caught a lot of fish. Didn't catch the biggest fish, but all in all, a fun day on the water.
That's great, and a big congratulations to John, Captain O-Ring from Harmony Tackle. He makes the O-rings that match the Senkos and a bunch of other tackle. But him and his team finished first place down on the Chesapeake, and of course he's a longtime Bass University subscriber. So congratulations, John. Congratulations,
Yes.
Riz.
Congratulations to the
BTC.
South Jersey Rod Benders.
Yeah, that's a fun tournament. It's like three boats and combined weight.
Yep.
It's really kind of a cool format. I like it.
Yep.
So, well, good job, everybody. And we're once
Great
again
job, everybody.
we have Lee Livesey coming on. If you're just tuning in, we're going to be talking about fishing mats, and boy, did he do it with an amazing arsenal, or amazing effort to win a really close tournament. So get your questions ready. If you're a Bass University TV subscriber and we use your question on the air, we're going to be hooking you up with some really cool Bass University swag. If you're not a subscriber, get over to bassu.tv and get subscribed and you can get your question asked to Lee and the rest of the panel, GDP and everybody. And we've got a lot of other great stuff going on tonight, Riz. What else are we giving away tonight?
Right. As always, Pete, for anybody that gets a question through to the show, if you're a Bass University TV subscriber, we're hooking you up with a prize. Tonight, anybody that asks a question is going to get a Bass University official buff and a hollow body frog like the one Greg's holding up. Show that off, Greg. That's a Rapala Terminator. So if you get a question through to tonight's show, you have a hollow body frog and a Bass University buff headed your way. Now, we also have a Facebook like and share going on tonight, Pete. That's for anybody that's not a Bass U TV subscriber and you insist on just milling around over there on Facebook. We're still going to hook you up. So like tonight's feed, share tonight's feed, and we're going to enter you in for a chance to win a $75 TH Marine prize pack. That includes a G-Force handle, a prop nut, a Tackle Titan, and some G-Juice. So like and share tonight's feed. Get a chance to win that. At the end of the show, for a Bass University TV subscriber, we're going to have a grand prize trivia question, which will include Flambeau, hollow body frogs, and Bass University official gear. That's valued at over $100. So if you're not a Bass U TV subscriber, head over now, bassu.tv, use the code BULive30, get 30 days free access to the entire Bass University site. That's over 700 of the best bass fishing instructional videos on the internet. So join up tonight, get your questions through. Hope to hear from you on the message board.
Outstanding. And you had some IMs come across earlier, and I just want to address them right now. Bass University, we haven't announced our classes. It's very unusual. Of course, we're dealing with COVID, the year of COVID. And so we are planning to be in Gadsden, Alabama. We're going to be back in South Carolina again in 2021, and we're also going to be in Kokomo, Indiana. Those are the three Bass University events that we're planning this year, and we're working out some details. It looks like we're going to be able to have great events in those areas. So if you've attended them in years past, we look forward to seeing you guys again. If you haven't, come on out and visit with us. We will be posting times, locations, and our ticket window will be open very soon all over at thebassuniversity.com. So make sure you go and check all that stuff out. And I spoke to the folks over at Bassmasters, and looks everything's a green light in Texas for the Bassmasters Classic Outdoor Show. So you can look for the Bass University to be there at the Classic again this year. We look forward to coming to Texas. We have more. Did you know this, GDP? We have more Bass U TV viewers in Texas than any other state in the country.
Wow, I did not know that.
It's the biggest state.
Yeah, but still.
It is the biggest state. It is in the Bass Belt, and California's huge too. We've got a lot of great viewership out there, but Texas takes the lead. Florida's high on the list, Alabama, Tennessee, and all the rest. So, but we look forward to coming to Texas, and we'll see all you guys at the Bassmasters Classic in 2021.
Yep.
But we Riz, what do you got on the IM board? Who's talking to us right now?
Already, Pete, we have a lot of people chiming in. We got Caesar Casanova, David Toll, Matt Lane, Alabama Mike Reed, Lee C, Steve, NJ Dale Jr., Team No Fish, New York Chris, Kurt Ratliff, Little Buck 3. Everybody's already on the board hanging out with us, getting their questions fired up. So these guys want a chance to win a hollow body frog and a Bash U TV buff because their questions are going to get through to the show. And the first one that we're actually going to just throw out here to the panel right quick is from Caesar Casanova, and he wants to know, do you guys modify your frog hooks when you're throwing a frog?
I do.
I'll tell you. Yeah, I mean, you want to take it, GDP? You want to go?
I could just show you one small thing on this frog right in front of me if you want me to.
Sure.
Yeah, so like I said, it doesn't matter if it's this kind of frog or Spro. It don't matter. I always bend my hooks out. One really simple way to do it would be grab the hollow body and just twist it out so it's facing like that. And from there, I mean, if you really want to fine tooth it, you can with pliers. But the one thing you want to watch out for, all these frogs have the little hole in the bottom for to spray the water out of. So when you go to bend these hooks out a little bit more, you got to be careful too. You don't want to rip that plastic. So you actually can pull it up a hair like that. Grab your hooks like this with your hand and just bend them hooks out a little bit. And what that's going to do when you go put it back on there again, get this thing back in there. Now I got my hooks, they're actually going to be facing outward a little bit. You can do it with just pliers too, but like I said, so now when that fish comes up and bites it, a lot of times the hollow belly frogs, when that fish sometimes bites it, it'll smush the body, and if them hooks are bent in, it actually is going to put that plastic right into the actual hook, and you're not going to hook up. But being bent out a little bit, it's actually going to help. So when that thing bites down on it, it's getting nothing but the hook. So that's one quick little tip. I mean, there's a couple things you can do too, color-wise. With a white frog, a lot of times I'll get a red marker and I'll actually dye the bottom to kind of give it a little better target, for impact. Otherwise, add some rattles in there. That's pretty much it for me. You could also, I know guys are baking frogs.
Right.
Talk about bacon frogs. Why are guys baking frogs?
Bacon's delicious.
Yeah, I love bacon. So when I say bacon frogs, what they're doing is, and it's very simple to do, you just get a pot of water, you boil it till it's, making bubbles. You can do it with soft plastic swim baits. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's plastic. Throw your frog in there for literally like 5 seconds, twist it around, pull it out, and the plastic gets a lot softer. Sometimes when they sit, like if you let your frog sit over winter, it seems like I've boiled a lot of frogs over the years myself, but you let your frog sit over the winter, the plastic gets hard again, but if you reboil them, it gets really soft. It's just a better way to get a hookup ratio. That's all it really is.
Yep. Well, that's great. I did over the years, that's what, boiling worms was key. When the worms would be really hard and rigid, the plastic that they would use, and guys used to boil worms, but now the formulas they use they're coming out so soft most of the time that a lot of guys aren't doing it, but there are still some guys using that. That's interesting. I've not heard guys doing that with frogs. Makes perfect sense. Yep. And it's a lot of modifications, and I do bend my hooks out just as you described. The only thing that I would add to that is a lot of times when I'm working with guys and they're having a hard time walking the dog, moving that bait back and forth side to side, is I will shorten up the legs, and it makes it easier for guys to do it. I like to leave them long if I can, and there's certain frogs, every once in a while you get one out of the pack that I'm having a hard time with. And if I shorten those legs up, take an inch off, I can make it just do what I want it to. But those Terminator frogs are really good at walking a dog right out of the pack.
Yeah, they are good for that for sure.
Yep. So shorten up. If you're having trouble, shorten up those legs, man.
What about shortening up one side?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that myth or is that real? I think it's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
Well, it may be real. It may be myth. We asked Dean Rojas that question here on Bass University Live, and he does not subscribe to the shorter leg.
I can simplify that, and I think I know why he doesn't. Because Dean's really good at walking the frog, so he doesn't have to do it. If you're like a kind of a beginner, cutting one little bit of leg off, it's only got to be a 1/4 inch. It doesn't have to be much, 1/2 inch. It allows the frog to have a lot more turning access. But if you're really good at working a frog, you literally, even like Pete said, you can leave them long and you can still walk a frog as long as you get that rod tip right. But if you're new to frogs, I can tell you right now, if you cut one leg a little bit shorter, it's a lot easier to walk it back and forth.
There you go.
So
nice explanation, GDP. I'd not heard it explained like that.
Yep.
and makes perfect sense. But I'm interested to see what modifications Lee made, and I could tell you, watching him fish, he was using a different color, and I didn't. I guess we're going to get into it here in just a minute, but one of the most fascinating things that I saw during that tournament was the different cadences that the guys were using in walking their frogs. So we got to get Lee on. We're going to talk about that, and so many variations. I sent BTC some that Brandon Cobb. I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen anybody do it like that before. So, Brian, are we ready to take our break?
Yes, we are.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Lee Livesey. Guys, if you're not a subscriber and you want to ask Lee some questions or the rest of us and win some prizes, go over to bashu.tv. Use the code BASHULive30. It's 30 days free. Come on over, check it out. We know you're going to like it, and you can participate in tonight's show. We're going to be right back with Lee right after this.
Why do you love casting fishing rod?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick, every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom, goes the dynamite.
Every moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse, everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant!
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail happens every time. The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter. Not good. Motor oil. Gotta keep the rust off all these baits. WD-40. Gotta keep the rust off. Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau Tackle Storage Systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
Welcome back to Bass University Live. Really great show tonight. I'm excited because it was so exciting to watch Lee Livesey win down on Lake Chickamauga, win in a really, really cool way. and I could see he's here with us tonight, and I could see the blue trophy and the Michelob Ultras in the background. The champ, Lee Livesey.
Going on. Thank you.
Man, it's. I'm glad you took the time for us, because I know it's been a whirlwind, and you're already at the next tournament already.
Yeah, I'm down on Neely, Henry, and Gadsden, Alabama, and I just struggled to get here to the computer, put it that way. I've been practicing all day and trying to practice all day. It was a lackluster practice with what happened this week, so I probably shouldn't even went out there, to be honest, but I had to. I found one good little area, and I made it up here and ready for the show.
Man, well, it's great to be here. You and I were talking, and sleep is at a premium right now for you for a couple different reasons. You're running on empty.
Yeah, we're about 3 nights in a row of no sleep at all, pretty much, and probably not drinking enough water the last 2 days of the tournament, for sure.
I tell you, there's something about it, man. When you don't sleep the night before the tournament, it always seems to me that that's when you're going to have a great one. Like your body or your mind is telling you you're dialed into something special, and you just can't turn it off.
Yeah, when your body feels it, man, there ain't no sense in even trying.
Well, I know it's exhausting, and the win was amazing. Like I said in the open, it was, sparse fish catches, but every fish catch mattered. Every fish mattered for Angler of the Year points, for, top 10 qualifications, for cut qualifications. And you would see guys come from, like Huff came back from, like 6 or 7 pounds on day one.
Yeah, he had 3 fish, I think.
Yeah, to almost win the tournament. I mean, it was a chess match, a mental toughness game like I've never seen before.
Yeah, it was interesting. I like those kind of tournaments, and it wasn't easy for sure. I think me and Jake are the only 2 that caught a limit all 4 days.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and you had completely different patterns, obviously, and the patterns were really interesting. Jake did something really cool, concentrating on that floating marina, catching 20 bass out of one stall inside the marina. I don't know if you saw that or knew that.
I kind of knew he had some trout lures and some crappie jigs on or something on some spinning rods, and I laughed at him and walked off. And he almost won. I knew what he was doing. I just told him, you can have that. I'm not going to be doing that for sure.
Well, I promise you, he was happy to have that, because it was tough as the chick was. But it was really unusual. It seemed like he had like 2 slips on that marina, and it was a big giant floating marina, but like he kept throwing at the same 2 slips or 3 slips. I don't know what it was, but just a few of them. And that's where almost all of his fish came from. So it was really cool.
It was cool because he went down to the line too. I know a couple of days he caught a fish pretty much on the last cast too, just like I did. I mean, I know that.
You, Huff, and him caught your 5th fish like in the last 5 minutes or less,
Well, I had 5 every day. Way before that, I just cold.
Oh, that's right. I misspoke. You're right. You're right. But you all caught one right at the end. He caught his 5th fish right at the end.
He told me he caught his 5th fish the last cast twice,
By the way, you were freaking me out a little bit. I'm watching the clock. It's like 1 minute left. You're still culling like as if there's like 20 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, you should have seen the hate texts I got when I checked in from all my friends.
They were mad at you for calling it so close.
Well, that the live was a delayed a couple minutes because I caught that fish at 3:25, and it took me like a minute to cull, and I left at like 3:28, and I was like a half a mile from the takeoff. My boat does 200 miles an hour, so I made it there. I made it there in like 40 seconds left. It wasn't even close.
That's so
good.
funny.
I should have made another cast.
I was sweating it. I was right along with those folks. I'm like, how can he be so calm when there's no time on the clock?
Every ounce counts. I mean, it didn't in the end, but in my head it did. For sure.
Well, it was crazy because we watched Huff right at the end come in, and he had a line burner that he didn't know would measure. It just barely got it to touch, and then winds up getting a 3.5 pounder and getting rid of that one and adding a big fish, and and the emotion pouring out of him, just like it was pouring out of you, was crazy. That's what that tournament did to you guys. It was a pressure cooker.
Yeah, it's obviously I've never won, and it's not easy to win. That's what I figured out. It's not easy to win. Everything has to go perfectly right.
Well, it did, and you did win, and you have that. And nobody could take it away. And the thing that I've observed about fishing, out on tour, is the guys that get in the winner's circle. Once you get in there, boy, your chances of getting back in there again are much better.
Yeah, I agree. You taste that blood.
You seem to learn something, or find another gear somehow.
They just learn how to win for some reason.
Yeah.
Hopefully I follow down that same track. You either got to have a baby or win one, because anybody has a baby, win one.
How's the baby situation coming along?
We'll see how long it takes me to win another one. I might have to. $100 grand is $100 grand.
That's a big hit. That's a huge hit, yeah. And it was great. And we're going to dive in. There's just so much interesting things to talk about in this tournament, but you did it in a way that I think was really cool. And I know our Bass University group wants to dive in and talk about that, because you caught them out of mats when everybody was fishing mats, but you figured out a few things that were really special that helped you obviously dominate this tournament.
Right. Yeah, I did.
How'd you go about? I mean, how'd you find them? What did you find? What was the deal?
I think the deal was I was fishing shallower than anybody else. Honestly, there was a lot of really great deep mats, and they looked beautiful. Out to like 8 or 9 foot that had a lot of water underneath them, and it's a lot easier to catch a fish on a frog in a foot of water than 8 foot of water, whether there's a mat or not. And, I've done a lot of fishing on the Red River and anywhere this time of year, man. They'll get as shallow as they can with something on top of 8 inch. Those big ones I was catching were in 8 to 14 inches of water. Literally, you could see them moving around in there sometimes. But that was my key, was fishing shallower than everybody. And there were little juice spots inside my mats that had algae mats on top of the hydrilla. And, they might be the size of a 5-gallon bucket or the size of my boat, depending on where I was. And that was the deal. Hard bottoms off of little bars, as shallow as they could get, with those little slime mats on top of them is what I call, but they're just algae mats is all they are. And I think a lot of the fish I was catching in those shallower mats were eating brim. If you got on the outside of the edges of the deep mats, they were eating shad. The shad were smaller and they were harder to catch.
So you were concentrating on brim, and I heard them talking about that, and the brim was up in the shallows. They were up after them. How did you find those bars? Were you just idling down the river? Were you using your mapping, or how were you able to pick those things out from miles of mats on the Chick?
Well, I just started fishing. I just kind of put in at takeoff and fished around a little bit. I actually caught a big one on a vibrating jig right off the bat on the outside edge. Kind of threw a wrench in my game plan for the first day. I wasted 2 hours. But left there, fished a couple bluffs, and where I ended up catching a lot of those fish on the final day, where I caught my big one. The big one I caught the final day, I shook off the first day of practice, the first morning, in that exact little bitty mat. It was like the size of my laptop. And she jumped all the way out of the mat and got stuck up on top of the mat and couldn't get back down for a minute, and then flopped around and boop, went back down.
That's
I actually
awesome.
caught the fish the fourth day. But I pulled up there, and she bit first, or tried to eat it. And I shook her off, and I had like 3 or 4 more bites right there. And I just fished around for a minute, just fish. It's that easy, They're just biting frog, and I just fished, and nothing, I fished a little bit more. And then I went back there. I said, let me just see if it was a morning deal. Threw in there, and boom, one blew up. I said, okay, what's the deal here? And I looked at my Lake Master map, and it was just a little island with a little bar off of it, and they were on the back side of it as shallow as they could on the hard spot on the back. So I kind of went down to the next island or the next piece of that bar and went to the same exact area, same exact little mats, and boom, had 2 of them hit it. I said, okay, and went down to where I fished most of the tournament, was a little island in the middle of the river just south of there, about a half a mile. And same thing, had 2 mats on each side, and I had 2 bites on the outside and probably, 2 or 3 on the other side. And it was like clockwork where I could do it. Now they all had to have the right ingredients. Some of them didn't have the right mats. Some of them didn't have mats at all. Some of them were too loose. Some of them didn't have those slime mats on top. And, I ended up finding about probably a dozen spots that I could pull up and get bit on a frog, confidently. Whether it happened or not, you never knew. Like where I caught all my fish the 3rd day, I never caught a fish the first 2 days, and then pulled up and sacked them up in 45 minutes the 3rd day and went back the 4th day, never got bit. But I had the confidence that they were in there because I saw them or had them bite, and I had the right ingredients. So it was kind of just looking at my Lake Master and then duplicating what the grass looked like.
GDP, it sounds easy.
It does. So, Lee, quick question for you. I think I heard you on Livesay. Was there some of the mats where current made a difference too, or no?
The one on the island that was in the middle of the river was the best one. I mean, I caught so many fish and had so many bites out of that one. And that's the only one I could pull up on and guaranteed I'm gonna get bit the first cast. They were mainly on that up current side. Mm-hmm. That's the mat. The final day I pulled up on that mat, that's where I caught the 5 the day before, and my whole limit the first afternoon, and the second day that morning when I caught them real good, the whole mat was gone. Like it washed down river overnight.
Oh man.
And I was devastated. Final day, my best spot is just no mat. It was crazy. But that spot had a lot of current on it, and there was probably the most fish in those 2 mats right there for sure.
Wow.
Lee, how you mentioned that you used your Lake Master to key in on some of these areas. Can you expand on that, on how the Lake Master actually helped you under mat situations? Because I mean, typically when you think of a mat, it's just an expanse over an area or a flat. What on the Lake Master were you actually looking for that your Humminbirds were able to key you into?
I was just looking at my depth, highlight, shadowing. I had like 0 to 3 foot in red. And, they just show the actual bars coming off the islands. And it's just like fishing offshore, but you're fishing in 2 foot of water. They're the same deals. They're schools of fish that get on bars in 12 foot of water or 18 foot of water. They're the same thing under the mats at the right time of year, In end of June, those fish are on bars out there in 15 to 18 foot of water, probably in the same schools, And you're just looking at your Lake Master in 18 to 20 foot on the outside of a bar, it's the same thing, but on the inside of it up there in, 1 to 3 foot of water.
Was it important for you to stay on the outside of the bar and throw over top of it? Was that important?
I did that on one of them because I didn't want to push pole in there. The water dropped out like 1.25 foot almost by the final day. It dropped a lot the 3rd night, like 1 foot. Like I lost a lot of water. So a couple of them I didn't want to disturb them by pushing in or trolling in. So I was throwing over the top of a bar on one of them. But I like the one that was on that island. I like to be down current, throwing up, bringing my frog with the current. I tried to do that. And y'all didn't know, but that 4th day, I fished the mat on the opposite side of the island when my other mat disappeared, and I fished it opposite. I drug it upriver. Never caught one. I came back about an hour later and did it how I had been doing, bringing it with the current, and boom, 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 boom. I catch 4 of them, as quick as I can and fill out my limit. Whether that was something or not, but in my head it was, and it made sense to me,
Well, I saw you do that on the last day. You repositioned yourself. I don't know if that was the spot where you were trying to get down current or not, but you said, I want to throw from a different angle.
That was a different group, but that was the one towards takeoff. They weren't current related, but I just felt like I had I thought they were showing my misses on Bass Live. They weren't. I probably had 30 to 35 bites that 4th day.
Wow. Oh my God.
Fish legitimately. Like that mat where I caught my big one, I probably had 17, 18 bites out of that one 20-foot mat. It was little bitty sparse ones, but it was a 20-foot spot. And I had some big ones too, a bunch of, 2 or 3 fish over 4 pounds.
Wow.
4 to 5 pound range, just hitting it too hard, knocking it in the air, jumping over it. So it was, I was just repositioning to show them a little different angle.
And I saw like it was really cool because when you pull up on a mat and somebody's been there before you, you can see all the frog tracks, dragging through the mat. And you were just, I mean, your mats, they were just, you kept casting right to the same spot over and over. And the 20th cast, you would get a bite.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's part of that confidence deal. I mean, I literally had a little bitty cheese mat on the third day that was the size of a trash can lid. And I saw a fish move in it. Like I knew there was one underneath it. I'd seen it move and I'd thrown in there like 40 times, and it wasn't far from the boat either. And I told my cameraman, eventually she's going to eat it. And sure enough, I twitched over there one time, and the mat just kind of raised up. And I said, "Get ready," and sure enough, boom, just blew it up. I like on the 40th cast, and she didn't move. She was there the whole time, and just if you saw my retrieve, I was retrieving it a lot faster than everybody else. Mm-hmm. I would stop it every now and then just to give them time to relocate it. But anytime I ever saw a shad or a brim get chased out of the mat, they would get chased out and they would flip on the mat as fast as they could, about a foot or two, just and then go back underneath the mat. So if you saw me, I was counting. Sometimes you might have heard me on Bass Live. I'd count 7 twitches as fast as I could, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but reeling at the same time, just trying to imitate one of those brim getting chased out and then stopping. Instead of going underneath the mat, it's sitting there, and they would just react to it and blow up on it.
Wow.
Man, that I saw that, and you didn't get a chance to see this, obviously, but everybody was using a different cadence in that tournament. That
was huge for me. It was a reaction deal for sure. Just like this time of year, you can't throw a ribbon and match, but I'll see a lot of times where if you're fishing pads or gator grass or whatever, they won't touch a regular floating, hollow body frog, but you throw a ribbit over them and you'll kill them, and it's just a reaction deal. And I was trying to do the same thing, but with a mat,
Yeah, well, it was awesome to see. And you talked about cheese, and I know Ike texted us, and he wanted to get some more details about the mats. But what about that? Like, because I could see it like on live, you could see like the brown like hydrilla, and then you'd see that green algae. I guess you're calling that cheese, and that seemed to be where the fish were. Why were they in that part of the mat? Why was that special?
It's just a canopy, it's something that they feel protected underneath, and it just makes a little roof for them, and right underneath those thickest parts of cheese, the vegetation is the thinnest underneath there because it doesn't get the sunlight penetration. And that's the main deal. It's a little bit more hollow right there, and it has a little bit more shade, and that's what those bass want,
Right. It creates more of a canopy. It makes, well, that's I've seen that happen a million times, but and I could see you would make casts. Well, at first I thought I was watching you make those long casts. I'm like, he's trying to stay off the mats, trying to stay far away. But then I saw you pick out your push pole, and I'm like, man, that's as close as he can get to the mats. So, was it important to stay a long distance away, or was the water just so shallow that you couldn't get close?
No, I could have got right on those mats. There was where on the opposite, like 5 foot on the other side of that mat line. It's like 10 foot deep over there. I mean, I could have a sailboat over there if I wanted to. It was just being stealthy. Those fish, there's so much pressure. Greg can tell you. I mean, it's just, God. I think Fort gets pressure. This place just gets hammered and hammered and hammered. It's just, the key for me was being stealthy and, being confident and my cadence, I think, more than anything. I feel like you can't go in there making noises, because I did in practice in some areas. I'd go in there on my trolling motor and not get bit. And then I'd go in there and sit still for 30 minutes and get 7 bites, without moving, So it was just a stealth deal. Some spots were different, on whether I had to push in or troll in. It just depended on the spot.
Right. Did you anchor down there? Did you pole down? Did you just, was the mat so thick you didn't have to worry about it?
No, my Minn Kota talons were huge. They were probably, top 2 or 3 biggest tools that I had this week for sure.
Yep. Yeah. And you stayed in that was amazing to me, because I watched you stay in one spot for, Jimmy, I mean, it must have been 30 minutes or more. at a time. How long? What's the longest you pulled down at one of your places?
The third day, I pulled down where I had never caught a fish before for 2 hours, and I caught my whole bag right there, besides my 5-pounder.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Never caught a bass there and never did again.
2 hours. That's a long time.
Sat there forever, and that's the one I told you I saw the one moving the little bitty mat.
Yep.
And it took me like 40 casts, and I'd already been there like 20 minutes, and I caught that one, and it was a big one, like a 3-something. And I sat there for another 20 minutes, and then I caught another one in front of me. I sat there another 20 minutes, and I caught one right where that one was, and it just one of those deals. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like, okay, the cheese, it was probably a thinner part of the mat, and it blocked out more of the light. So there was a good canopy. Would you say it was thinner there under that cheese, or was it thicker, or what do you think?
It's thinner underneath there.
Okay.
It's thicker on top, but thinner underneath where the fish are.
Okay. So they still got to blast through quite a bit to get to those frogs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's more to blast through, but they have more room underneath for them to swim around and eat stuff. And more fish can fit in there is the key. Like I had schools underneath that one mat. There was probably 30 fish underneath that one little bitty mat. I mean, they just kept, it was different fish. I'd have a 4-pounder blow up, then a 2-pounder, then I'd catch a 3. And then it was a whole school of them down there, whether it was 15 of them or 40 of them, I don't know. I never will.
Wow. That's so cool. It reminds me, like, I remember Ish winning on a frog up at Oneida fishing in like 6 inches of water, and him commenting like he couldn't believe how many fish were up in that, like, schools like you're talking about. 30 people don't think about 30 and 40 fish, up in 8 inches of water. That's uncommon.
Yeah, I mean, they get in little wolf packs just like they do offshore on those bars. It's the same deal, just shallower. They're there for one reason, is to eat. That's their dinner table. That's where they want to be, and that's where they're comfortable, and that's where they're, eating brim and shad.
Well, it was cool to watch. Rich, I'm gonna want to throw it to you in just a minute with some IM questions, but I want to get into some things. You talked about the cadence of your frog, but one thing I noticed that was different from what you were throwing is the color of your frog. It was looked like it was a bullfrog, a chartreuse belly, some kind of what color was it? What kind of frog was it? What were you throwing?
Yeah, it was a real bright yellowish orange color, and when I throw that color when I'm fishing mats. When I'm fishing mats, I just want my fish to see it. I want the brightest color. I'll throw a chartreuse belly a lot, like the brightest chartreuse, and I'll throw that yellowish orange color. I just want them to see it. I don't care, anything. I just want them to see it. That's the deal.
No kid. See, I'm sitting watching you throw that. I'm like, he's trying to pretend that's a brim. He's trying to make it look like a bluegill.
Well, those bluegill on the mats aren't chartreuse. They're black as the grass,
Yeah. It makes sense now that you explain it to me. It's all about visibility.
The bass, they're black.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So were there, and we talked about modifications early in the show, and a question came in. Did you modify the frog at all, or did you throw it right out of the pack?
No, I did. I was throwing a couple frogs. I was throwing a scum frog, launch frog, and another frog as well. And I was putting 2 8-ounce tungsten drop shot weights in them and trimming the tails real short.
Make a presence.
And you were trimming the tail short?
Real short. I don't want them to have anything to miss. The tails are pointless to me.
Wow. Pointless on because it's on a mat, and you want them to zero right in on it.
Anywhere. I cut them down for anything. That just gives them something to hit and miss your hook.
So the tungsten was explain that. Is it a noise? It is a distance thing? Is it weighing it down in the mat? So
it's a little bit of everything. It actually makes a rattle. You don't have to put a rattle in there because 2 tungstens rattling together are pretty loud. So that makes a little rattle. But I mean, that's really not huge. You got to really shake one to make it rattle, even if you got a rattle in it, unless you're throwing like a maraca rattle on it. But it's just weighing it down in the mat. First of all, to show an impression to the fish.
Mm-hmm.
You want it pushing down so the fish can see it, but then also you want it to stay down as long and as heavy as it can when that fish comes and blows up on it. If it's just full of air, just no weights, they'll blow it out of the water a lot easier than they will with the weights. It just stays there a little bit longer for them to get it. So you saw me, I'd work it fast, but I worked it down to keep the belly down and make an impression. Like I want to make a drag trail every time. I want those fish to feel it, see it, sense it, sense it with their lateral lines and hear it, and so they can find it easier,
Wow. That's pretty cool. I've not heard of anybody putting extra weight in a frog. I'm sure it's been done, but it's the first I'm hearing about it, GDP.
Yeah, I've heard guys loading BBs in them before. So, Lee, the weights you were throwing inside, were they like a solenoid or more like a round ball?
No, just the cylindrical, long, skinny. I mean, an 1/8 ounce cylindrical weight's little bitty. You can just slide them right in where the hook comes out of the frog.
Yep.
Real easy. They're real skinny.
Yeah, I'm guessing probably better too for hookup ratios.
Yep, you want it to lay down flat just with the hook shank too. And a lot of guys use BBs too, but I like 2 little 1/8 ounce tungstens.
Nice.
Wow, that's super cool. I love it. You're now. I heard you and I watched you, and you were raving about your Halo rod, and you were digging these fish out of these mats. But tell me about your rod, your reel, your line. What was your setup?
Yeah, I was throwing. The rod was huge for me. Like it really was. Because I use a different rod when I'm not frogging mats. But when I'm frogging mats, I use a Halo KS2 Elite. It's a 7.9 extra heavy. And it's big, long, and heavy. You can make long casts and get them out of the mats, but it's got a good tip. If you saw me boat up, it bends over and doesn't. I lost one fish this whole week, one fish. And that's amazing. I missed a lot, but that's just them missing the bait. But I only lost one bass this whole week.
Wow. Did you bend the hooks?
I don't. Would you bend a straight shank when you were flipping before you started flipping with it?
So you, in other words, you think it makes it weaker, or?
Yeah, it's a straight shank hook on a frog. You would, before you went punching mats, you wouldn't bend it out like that, would you?
Right. Well, I can understand that.
Those companies make them like that for a reason.
Okay.
That's all in your head.
I know. Well, I got to go back to my frog box and bend all my hooks back straight.
So real quick, Lee, the frog you're throwing, is it a double prong hook or just a one hook in the back?
No, it's a double prong hook.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's certainly a straighter line of penetration, and it certainly makes sense. Man, how can you argue with losing one in 4 days of fishing? The strike to catch ratio was through the roof for you. So, man, that was amazing. Amazing stuff. Rich, I want to throw it to you. I want to let our Bass University subscribers talk to you, Lee. I'm sure they have some questions for you. I'm sure they were all watching. So let's throw it to them and see what they want to talk about.
For sure. Little Buck 3, we're going to go with him for the first question on the message board, and he wants to know, do you ever dip your frogs in Michelob Ultra?
Yeah.
The night before every time.
Yeah. Big girls.
I can't have it on the boat, but I can do it the night before for sure.
There you go.
Just tell.
Nice.
And David Toll wants to know, how do you mentally prepare for a grinder tournament like this week on Lake Chickamauga?
Honestly, I think it's just having been there and done that kind of deals. You know what I mean? It's not like I just showed up there and that's the first time I'd ever had that. Just I don't even want to say anybody's name. There's somebody from wherever, Wisconsin, was a drop shotter and a tuber, and they showed up down here and got thrown into a 1 foot of water frogging deal and shallow mats with all that grass and all the beautiful bluffs and wood and water. It might not click for them, but I've been there and done that at the Red River. Is a big player like that, Washita River. They do it at Fork. They get super shallow like that in mats. And I've just been there, done that, seen how the bite goes. Time of year is huge. I kind of knew what it was going to be, and just knowing the game plan once I figured out a little deal was huge for me. Once I But here's the deal. I caught 3 fish the first day on bluffs with a jig because I had that gig going too. You know, the first day I weighed 3 of my fish on a jig because I didn't know the frog deal was so good in the morning. Well, that's the first afternoon I caught, you know, I cold with all my frog fish and I quit at 1 o'clock when I caught my limit. Well, I was still getting bit like crazy. I just left them alone. Well, the second day I ran to my nearest bluff and I didn't get bit where I'd caught 2 that first day. I said, man, I'm going to go try those because my game plan was fish bluffs till 10 to 11 o'clock. And then you go frog all day because the frog bite's usually best when the sun's up late in the afternoon. Well, I ran to that bluff, didn't get bit, and I was about to run up the Hiawassee and fish the rest of my bluffs. And I said, man, I better go try that little mat where I had like 10 bites yesterday, you know, in 10 minutes. And Greg knows it was cold the second day. Everything was frozen. There was frost everywhere. You wouldn't think the frog bite would be going on when the sun's low. And I pulled up there and I had one miss it 7 times on my first cast. One bad. And I threw right back in there and he ate it. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm never putting this thing down again.
Yeah, wow.
And that's when my tournament changed right there. I clicked. I said, okay, I can do it all day and I'm going to catch 5 a day. I'm confident. And I never put it down after that.
Good deal.
That's amazing. You know, and to hear you say that is really interesting because most of the times when tournaments are won, like, you know, it develops during the day. Like you don't win it at practice, in other words. In other words, you find the key components to winning as the tournament is live and in action.
Yeah, all 3 of my days changed. Like I told you, I mean, I caught them here one day, there one day, and then I ended up catching that big one the final day. And I mean, I don't know if there was more fish in there than I knew about, but that was like my 4th game plan, really, you know. And it just worked out perfectly. Like I said, I caught all those fish the 3rd day where I never caught them again or before, and it all clicked. And in my head, I stayed when I thought I should have, and I ended up catching them on all 4 days. It was different spots and different deals, and just mixing it in and maintaining my fish was huge for me. You know, I quit when I caught my 5th one the first day at 1. I quit before 11 o'clock the second day. When I got right, I called twice and I said, I don't need to burn anymore. And the 3rd day I quit at 1 o'clock. And you know, obviously the 4th day I fished till the end, but every day that I quit early, I expanded. I went and looked and I fished and I shook fish off. I didn't hook anything. You know, I found 2 or 3 more 3-pounders and that helped me a lot, being confident I had 3 or 4 more spots to go to.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Managing fish in such a tough tournament, I guess it's really important then, and that's always a big, you know, question is do you keep catching them, or do you leave them be?
Did I hear correctly? You're shaking fish off during a tournament?
Every day I did, except the 4th day.
Oh my God! And how do you shake a fish off? Like your frog still has hooks on it, right?
No, I don't bend hooks. I cut hooks. The hooks are cut.
Okay, so when you oh my God, you're cutting hooks off during a tournament.
Oh yeah, like I don't bend hooks. If you bend a hook, you'll catch them like a circle hook every time. You're like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
What?
Wow.
That is.
Yeah, you're about to win that one, Lee.
Huge for me. I went back and caught fish I shook off in the tournament on the next day or the 4th day.
Wow.
What about fishing pressure, man? Like, nobody else was in on this stuff with you? Like, I would be terrified, man. I got to catch him because I know the palm is coming down this bank and he's going to throw at that mat. I've got to catch him.
You know, a couple of my spots were so shallow, I didn't think anybody was going to fish them, and they didn't. And then the spot where I caught him the 3rd day was such a massive area, and I was as far in there as you could get in the middle, push pulling in. Like, I don't think anybody ever went in there that far. Like, everybody was fishing the edge or getting 30 yards in there and then fishing, and I never saw anybody in there. Now, I saw some locals, you know, just going through there on their trolling motor, but you can't catch them with your trolling motor on. Like, it's impossible. Now, the spot that I had the most pressure was the right side of that island that I started on every day, where my mat on the left side disappeared, but the mat on the left side was so shallow nobody fished it. It was little bitty. It looked like nothing, and there was 15 fish underneath it. So the right side of that island, people did hit it every day except the 4th day, and there were so many fish in there it didn't matter. I could go in there and sit still for 30 minutes, and I'd catch 1, 2, or 3.
Wow.
Hey, Lee, we got a lot of people commenting about your push pole. What was up with that little tiny push pole?
At Santee Cooper the week before, I got stuck on a cypress stump inside my jack plate, and I might have karate chopped a cypress tree out of frustration and broke my push pole. So
That's funny.
One day it was an 18-footer at one time.
How about that? I got one more for you, Lee. Brandon Polinick wants to know how many ounces are in a 30-pack of Michelob Ultra.
A bunch.
Not as many as there used to be, right?
Not his.
Oh, that's awesome. Shaking fish off. Riz, careful now.
Man.
I want to see you go shaking off fish in derbies right just yet.
Yeah. So Lee, if one of them fish like a 9-10 pounder, how would you feel afterwards?
What's that?
If you shook off a 9 or 10 pounder, how would you feel?
I hope I caught it the next day.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
I shook a couple off that I never caught,
Yeah.
for sure. And I had 3 that I never caught that I know were over 3 pounds. But, in my mind, it was more crucial to have a shot at catching a limit fish if I needed it the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a very.
I was always afraid that I would have 3 or 4 and need a 2-pounder,
Wow.
And
That's pretty interesting.
I had 13 pounds in my head. If I did 13, 13, 13, 13, I would be pretty close to winning.
Yeah.
Close, and every day that I got close to 13, those first 2 days I had 13 almost exactly. I had 13 and then 13.3 and I quit. And, that third day, you never know on the third day, so I caught them a little bit better. I cold twice and got up there around that 17-pound mark and then quit. So it was just one of those deals that I wasn't sure until kind of the end of that third day. And then, that fourth day, I knew I wasn't going to run out of fish. It just depended if they ate it or not.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's really cool.
All the years I've fished, I've practiced fished when I had a good bag, but man, I stuck them. I caught them. I didn't shake them off, man. That's amazing.
You can't catch them if you stick them. The 2 fish, I caught 2 fish on a bluff the first day that I waited. 2 good ones, actually. I shook 2 casts. I shook off 2 fish and 2 casts, like back to back. I knew they were different fish. I threw about 5 feet apart. That first day I pulled up there and I caught 2 fish and 2 casts. I shook those 2 fish off and I caught those 2 fish. I went back twice after that and I never caught another one. Those are the 2 fish I shook off in practice.
That's awesome, no doubt.
Yeah, that is great. And I will shake them off in practice. And most, a lot of us will. But boy, during the tournament, that's a rare sighting. I wish Bassmaster would have filmed that. Wouldn't that be cool?
It's on there somewhere.
Man, I hope they put that on the show, man. Watching you clip the hooks off. There's no hooks. I'm still throwing a frog. That's crazy. That's crazy talk, Riz. Who else do we have on IMs for Lee?
Pete, Brian's nephew wants to know. Yeah, Brian's nephew's on the message board, by the way.
My nephew?
Yeah, well, apparently he's here. Guys, remember, if you're watching tonight's show, any Bass U TV subscribers that get a question through on the board is going to get a Bass University official buff and a hollow body frog. So it pays to be a Bass U TV subscriber, and right now you can be a Bass U TV subscriber 30 days for free. Use the code BULive30. But Brian's nephew wants to know, did the water temperature impact the areas or the mats that you were fishing?
Great question, nephew.
No, they didn't. We had hot days and really cold days, and there's 2 things that attract bass to mats. It's cold or heat, so I wasn't really worried about it. Those fish this time of year, they're not leaving those mats. Now, sometimes it'll affect their activity, but you got to get like in the low 50s. And, I won a tournament in 48-degree water on a frog before. Like literally you had to slow twitch it and they just come up and suck it down. So they'll still eat it when it gets cold. And I was worried about it. That's why I thought it was going to be an afternoon deal. Usually the brim don't start popping and everything gets active in the afternoon. And that's when it was the best for sure. But it didn't affect us. We had both. Greg saw it. We had really hot days and really cold mornings too.
Yep.
And that seemed to be when we were watching Zona and Tommy, and they did an amazing job covering the tournament, and Davey. Most of the guys were doing that exact thing. They were just trying to hang in there to the afternoon frog bite. But
And that's what I would have done if I went that second morning. I went over there and started. I would have kept the same game plan. I actually had some really good fish in a cave. I shook off 5 fish on a frog. Like there was a cave that went back like 30 foot inside this bluff, and I could skip a frog underneath there, and I had some amazing blow-ups. It really sucks. I wanted to get it on live, me pulling them out of there, but I never had to go to it. I never saw what size they were because I shook every one of them off, but they sounded big and they're echoing.
Man, might have been a good thing to do after you, were going practice fishing,
I thought
that's terrific. I never saw caves there. There's bluff walls up the Tennessee River, but
there's one cave up the Hiawassee.
That was a big player in this tournament, and a lot of guys did really well. Kind of bailed on the last day, but a lot of guys did good in this tournament, doing stuff that were different. And you were just like that. Like you went uber shallow, more shallow than the rest. Todd Oughton just never even threw at a blade of grass, and Huff fished bluffs the whole time, and or at least the last few days, and did extremely well. So it seemed like the guys that were doing something off the wall were the guys that excelled in this event.
Pete, I got a question that kind of relates to that as far as doing different stuff. And Riz's Faulty Live Wells wants to know, did going into the tournament knowing that there would be a lot of boat pressure impact your decision to start off fishing extremely shallow?
Not so much. I mean, those guys are up there grinding shallow too. I kind of got blessed, and I ended up with an area where, not a lot of people mess with my stuff. Greg probably knows if you got a little bit more towards the bridge, there was a lot more people in there, like Buddy and Canterbury and Caleb and Jason. And if you got a little bit above Mud Creek in the takeoff, there was a lot of people in that area. In that little midsection, I don't know if it was because it was really close or what, but I didn't have a lot of our guys in there for sure. And the local guys were really nice to me, They laid off my stuff for the most part,
That's funny because I saw John Cox in the tournament, like when he was leading. One of the locals came and was coming in kind of in his area, and they were asking him how he was doing, and he had just caught like his fish in that area, and he was like, "Yeah, I just caught a few up the river, but since I come down here, I don't have any." He was totally trying to chase those locals off of his spot, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But it was good that they did that to you. They didn't come in on you. And I don't think, probably a lot of the locals only now are probably fishing that shallow. So I don't think you really had too much to worry about.
I bet that mat I left at the end yesterday got hammered today.
Burned.
Torched.
I bet that's absolutely right. Riz, I'm going to throw it back to you for some IMs from the Bass U crowd. Guys, if you are a subscriber to Bass University TV, we use your question on the air. We're going to hook you up with some really cool prizes. But you got to be a subscriber. Go over there and check it out. It's 30 days free right now over at bassu.tv. What do you got, Riz?
Blue Pro wants to know, Lee, do you glue the openings on your frogs after you insert the weights?
No, you don't have to. They'll stay in there.
Okay. And,
what about water infiltration?
What's that?
What about water infiltration with the extra weight in there?
If you got water coming in, you're not fishing a mat. Those mats. That's what you'll see me reel it real fast every now and then, real high. That's when I'm in open water. If you put it in open water, it sinks like a rock. So if you're on top of a mat, you're fine.
Yep.
So that frog will actually sink if you drop it in a hole.
Oh, like a rock.
I think they all will. Everyone, yeah.
Yeah. No, it'll sink like a rock, but if you're in the match, you need that added weight.
Pete would drop it in the holes and dead stick it.
Psycho.
Like a psycho.
Hey, in some of those all frog only tournaments, that's what guys are doing. They were putting 1 ounce weights.
Yep.
They were like Texas rigging frogs and pitching them in the grass and winning tournaments that way.
Not allowed no more.
Yeah,
not anymore.
They took it away.
Yep.
No modifications.
What?
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Yep.
Knock it
That's
off.
why.
True.
That's why
True
I
story.
took pounds.
I disagree with their assessment.
I know.
It's
That's a
in
great
the rules now.
modification.
I know, and I disagree with their rules. I'm just saying. I think that's stupid.
Well,
Carry
it sinks like a rock. I really like the. I mean, originally when frogs were weighted, that was the purpose, so that it would depress the mat and make it more, make its presence more, visible or more, lateral line. They can feel it, they can see it. But man, you took it to the next level by putting some extra weight in there, so it's really getting down. That's a heavy mat. That's a heavy mat right there.
It helps to throw it too. It helps adding weight.
You were ripping it out there, man. You were coming out of your shoes on every cast.
Yeah, I needed a new spool of line. I'd caught so many fish and retied my frog so many times I done lost about 10 yards of line. So I really needed a fresh spool of braid on there, but I didn't want to jinx it. You know how that goes.
Yep. It's a good move. Well, what size braid were you using?
65-pound braid.
65. That'll get them up out of that mat.
Yeah, you're not going to break 65.
Yeah, you were just dragging them across the mat, just getting them in. Did you have a high-speed reel?
Yeah, I was using a 7.5 to 1 or something. You have to have a high-speed reel for sure.
Well, certainly noticed that. And Riz, I want to throw it back to you for another IM.
Mike O wants to know, Lee, what makes you decide a walking frog over a popping frog when you're fishing over mats?
Just your popping frog will get stuck a lot in the mats. Just that cup on the face will kind of make it twist and pop a little bit, and I just want it to stay down is the key for me. Just that straight retrieve frog. I'm not working it back and forth. I'm just plopping it down in there, So just that popping, that little concave on his face will make it pop up, and sometimes even with that weight in the back with a popping frog, it'll make it twist, and your line will hook your hook a lot with a popping frog with weights in it. And I tried it, and I just didn't like it. You're not getting any more action out of that popping frog. It just makes it more difficult in mats.
Right. That's interesting. I noticed that, and I didn't even really consider that, but you were not throwing a popping frog in that scenario.
Yeah.
And the thing that you said, and I want to ask you this because it is a big deal. Like when you came across the stage, it was pretty powerful, man. Your family came in, your fiance, and your quote that I wrote down was, "It's been 35 years of dreaming and a lot of hard work, and here you are, buddy." How's it feel to be the champ?
Man, it still hadn't kicked in. I haven't even thought about it a second. It's weird. It's when practice started to when I walked across that stage was a blur. Like I feel like I'm still in practice, and now everything's like in slow motion. And mentally, I'm trying not to think about it because I'll start crying again.
It was very emotional. It was obviously very emotional for you, and
it helped me go into an event the same night. Like I had to leave, I had to do tackle, I had to get gas. I never got to think about it, and like as soon as I leave Gadsden, Alabama, I'm sure I'll cry like a baby again. It'll hit me, and I'll start thinking about it.
So when you're crying, is that going to wreck your Lake Fork practice, or?
Oh no.
No, you still dialed in, huh? So let's talk about Fork a little bit if you want to, unless you don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you up.
Yeah, because, I kind of want to get some tips, man. What do you got?
Go frog those mats. Them two
Yeah, put some weights in my frog and go.
Do they have mats on Fork?
No. Well, there's a few. Yeah, there are a few.
Okay.
Just not many of them.
So, like, what's typical in Texas, in November? So, what's your? I kind of saw the weather as a cold front coming through, the end of next week, down there in the 60s for the high.
Yeah, the fishing will be good. You'll catch a lot of fish.
That's good to hear.
You'll catch them kind of however you want to, deep, shallow, in between. But the big ones are still kind of nomadic. they kind of go nomadic from the middle of August to the middle of November. Like about Thanksgiving, it'll start getting cold, the water will, and the big ones will start showing up again. So you'll see a lot of fish get caught, decent fish, it'll look good on paper, and then everybody will have, 1 or 2 good ones instead of having 5, 6 to 9 pounders like you see in the spring and the early summer. It'll be, a lot of just good chunky 3s, and then somebody will have a 4 and a 6, Now somebody's going to catch a bag just because it's 4, But it'll be a pretty good event, but the big ones are just kind of nomadic that time of year.
Yeah, so November on Fork, that's not your typical fall fishing still, just because of that reason, or what do you think?
It's close, man. I mean, the biggest fish I've ever had in my boat came in November.
Oh, yeah.
1388. Wow. So, I mean, I
Jeez.
can say that, but I can't.
What the heck is that?
It's a toad.
No idea.
What'd you catch that one on,
Frog.
Lee?
I had a client catch it on a Carolina rig.
Oh,
Wow.
a client.
Jesus. Imagine hitting that thing on a sea rig. Ba-boom.
Jeez.
Wow. It's pretty special, man.
No doubt. That's a giant. That helped my guiding career. I caught it like the 2nd or 3rd year I started guiding. So it was a big help for me.
So how's Fork during the guide season? Is November a pretty popular time for Fork for guide trips?
There'll be a few guides out there. There won't be 60 of them like there are in the spring. There'll be 10 of them out there a day.
Yeah, last year when we were there, what was it, June, I guess we were there last year?
We were there the first week of May.
May, yeah, there was guides everywhere. I saw people, 3 guys per boat everywhere as I went.
Wow.
Everywhere.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it won't be as bad. That's the first week of deer rifle season in Texas, so everybody will be at the deer lease.
Right.
Yeah. What about duck hunting? Does that go on there too?
Yeah, but it's not hardcore.
Okay, good. That's good to hear.
By the way, Jeff Kirby on Facebook says he's that chick, and there's a bouncer and a velvet rope around your mat. Right
There were guys lassoing it before I left, I guarantee you. There's no chance that those frogs cut it up, I guarantee you.
Fork is it's a big deal. It's got to happen. This is your ticket to the Classic at Fork.
I've got 2 opens. This one this week at Neely Henry, Fork, and then Lake Louisville in Texas. I've got 3 more opportunities.
Outstanding. We got to pull an Iconelli. Iconelli did the most clutch move in the history of the world. His Classic streak was on the line, and his last tournament of the season was on Lake Erie, and it was his only chance to get in, and he won that tournament and got into the Classic. So you got to pull an Ike
I've got
down in Texas.
3 more chances.
Well, we'll certainly be pulling for you, down there. And I don't know how much, because we did a great show with you earlier about how to catch difficult to catch bass at Fork on our live show. And I don't know how much that's going to play in November, but, it was certainly some unique fishing opportunities there that time of year.
Yeah, you're going to see a little bit of everything. I mean, from deep spooning and blade baiting, Carolina rigging, and drop shotting and swim baiting to, guys frogging and throwing big top waters to square billing and rattle trapping. And there's going to be everything going on. Flipping wood is going to be a big deal. It's literally, you can catch them any way you want to that time of year.
How's the bait on Fork? I mean, is it like, Kentucky Lake where there's just droves of bait everywhere, or it's not that way that time of year?
There's a lot of bait that time of year, but they're mainly out really deep.
Really?
Like your bait will be in that 25 to 35 foot range. That's why those big ones it's why you can't catch the big ones. They're out there suspended, eating whatever they want to as much as they want.
George Dowdy's on the Facebook watching. He says he caught his PB with you, Lee, 10-10.
He did. He caught it on a little boy hump on the left side of Little Caney in May.
Okay. So you said blade baiting. You do a lot. Do you do much blade baiting out on Fork?
A little bit. I do a lot on some lakes around there, but I do the week we're going to be there. I do.
Okay, because there's a bit of that goes on up here, but it's usually like real cold weather deal for the most part.
They'll start getting in big schools out deep that time of year, and it's a really good client bait. I mean, we'll catch white bass, yellow bass, crappie.
Oh yeah,
everything.
Them blade baits on fork. Are you throwing? They're called like ledge hogs or something. Is that what you're talking about? The giant ones?
No, we'll throw those in the early summer. We're throwing just little bitty small ones, like 2-inch.
Yeah, that's what we throw here. Silver Buddy style.
What's your water temp when you're throwing those, Lee?
It's going to be in the. I'm trying to think what it'll be when we'll be there. It just depends,
But it's warm, right?
It's warm compared to us.
Probably. Oh yeah.
Not like here.
Upper 50s and 60s that time of year still.
Yeah,
that's crazy because when we're throwing that thing, it's high 30s,
40s. Yeah.
Well, see, I'll throw it shallow when it gets really cold because our fish out deep will get where you can't catch them. When it gets really, really cold, there's too much. Like everything's out there deep, you can't catch them.
Lee said really, really cold.
Yeah, like right. That's 65.
Okay,
what does that mean? Really, really cold for Texas? Like what temps are we talking?
86.
Like it might get 38 at night.
Whoa.
What about the water temp?
The low 50s is cold for us. If it's in the 40s, you can go catch a bass.
That's like prime time here.
I can't wait till water hits mid 50s. I'm dying for it to hit it.
You're right.
It's not too far off.
I know. Hurry up. Let's go.
Anything under 53 in Texas, people are wondering how to catch them.
Really?
Oh, that's feeding time.
That's interesting. It's all relative, but I've been waiting for a blade bait to shine in a major event, and it never has. It's never played a role. But you guys are fishing really late in the season. It's interesting. Maybe it'll play at fork. We'll have to.
I got to hit Ken Duke about that one, Pete. See if a blade bait has ever played.
You're right, because there used to be fall tournaments from the start.
Yeah.
Like back in the '60s. And did they fish deep into the winter? Did they have any of those tournaments? And like the Silver Buddy is one of the original fish catchers, man. That's been around forever. So maybe it has played and it's just lost in history. Ken will let us know.
Ken would know.
Ken, if you're watching, let us know.
Yep.
But Lee, I know you got to practice. You got derbies. We're gonna let you go, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and our group at Bass U. I really appreciate it. And
before you let them go, Pete, I got a couple more quick things. How did you get a beer sponsor? How'd you get Michelob Ultra?
Pretty much one of my guide clients. It's actually my fiance's. She cuts Mike Martin's wife's hair and his hair now, and he started fishing with me, and then I made the elites, and it just combined. He owns a Anheuser-Busch distribution center in Texas, in Longview, Texas.
Okay.
It's all about who you know.
It's a great sponsor to have. And
most of my stuff came from guiding.
So does that distribution center drop off at your house on a weekly basis, or how does that work?
If we make the call, it's like 10 minutes from my house, so I can just go down there and scoop some up.
I like it.
Yeah.
Lots of fried crappie and cold Michelob Ultra, huh?
I got a good fish fryer.
Very nice. PTC, you have anything else for Lee?
Well, just that Lee's going to be on Renwick's show tomorrow night with Pat's got, what's he got? Tally,
7
Polinick?
guys or something.
Yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 guys. Yeah, but he's got the winners of the last 3 elite events. And
me, Brandon, and Frank.
One more question for you, Lee, from the message board, and this comes from Dave Prince, actually, Coach Dave Prince.
Uh-oh.
He wants to know what position you played in college when you played football.
Free safety.
Free safety.
Really?
Yep.
On
you
the
got
move.
some speed.
What college was that, Lee?
ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe, Sun Belt Conference.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Lee, is there going to be a crawfish broil at the after the fork tournament or during the fork tournament?
It won't be crawfish season, so we're going to cook something else. I don't know if we're going to do like alligator sausage or just fry fish or what. So we'll be cooking something, and there'll be a lot of Anheuser-Busch products.
I'm in for all of it.
Let's go, Brian.
Let me know.
Load the truck. Let's go.
Honey, I'm going to be late.
It'll be a good time again.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're hitching up the Bass U trailer, and we're headed your way.
Come on.
Well, once again, Lee, thanks again. Appreciate the time. Get some sleep.
Oh, yeah.
And, go crush it this week. We'll be pulling for you, and we'll be pulling for you at Lake Fork as well. And, thanks again. The champ,
Lee Livesey.
First time Bassmaster Elite Series champ, Lee Livesey.
Yes,
Well done, man.
You,
Thank you for having me.
Lee.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
See you, man.
Amazing stuff, man. Wow, what a great win. Riz, you hit the nail on the head by picking up on that, man. He's shaking fish off during the tournament hours, you know, fishing the mats, cutting the hooks off of his bait, man. That's incredible.
It's a baller move,
Yeah,
man.
it's bold.
Yeah, I like it. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's craziness. Guys, hang in there with us. Brian, we're going to take a quick break right now.
We got a 1 minute commercial spot. We're going to run for Sea Clear Power. How's it go, Rich?
Sea Clear Power.
Sea Clear Power. We're going to run that. We'll be right back. We're going to talk a little in-house stuff here. I think we're going to throw out the Zoom link to some people on the IM board and have some people jump in here and ask some questions. And we got a couple other little things to go. So hang in there.
Let's talk mats. Let's talk tournaments, man.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to talk about? Come on back. We're gonna be away for a minute, and we'll be right back with more Bass University Live.
Keep talking. Lost my commercial, Pete. Where the hell did you hide it, Rich?
We can keep talking. I can see your TH Marine power stick here on the table. I wonder if that shows up in our shot.
Yeah,
that one.
Guys, actually, TH Marine has a really has an awesome sale going on right now. For 45 years, they've been in business.
Wow.
So each week they have a different promotion going on where they're pushing one of the products. This past week it was the G-Force line of products. That's the handle. That's the prop nut. That's all the stuff to help you on the water, keep your boat right and tight. So check out TH Marine. Great time to save some money on some of their products.
Or Christmas stuff.
Yeah. Get your Christmas shopping done too.
Yeah.
Excellent. I want to invite all you guys over, and we don't talk about this enough, Rich, is all the great subscriber benefits at Bass University. Yep. You can find those, on your laptop down at the right-hand column. Click on the Bass University Pro Member Offers. There's all kinds of great stuff. As a matter of fact, right now, and I'm wearing my camouflage hat in, appreciation of squirrel hunting season. And right now you can go and find amazing deals on all the Flambeau products for hunting. So if you're a hunter and a subscriber to Bass UTV, you can go over and check it out, guys. We get this comment all the time. People don't know it's there. So go check it out. And that's not it. We've got deals with Tackle Warehouse and TH Marine and Rapala, the VIP program, and so many more. So it's just part of what being a subscriber to Bass UTV brings you. What do you got, Riz?
I'm ready.
Yeah,
we're
ready. We're ready to take a break,
You're ready.
guys. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Okay. We'll be right back. Bass University Live.
Hey guys, Nathan Martin here with Sea Clear Power. The two biggest problems I see that people make when they're installing their marine electronics is their transducer placement and the way that they power their units up. At Sea Clear Power, we have designed and patented the first marine draft wiring harness to run 2 designated lines to your unit. We make sure that your units are getting no voltage drops, no electrical interference, and that's going to do a couple things. It's going to make your unit faster. It's going to make your structure scan pick up faster when you come off pad, and it's going to clear your image up on your units. These are really easy to install. All you have to do is fish a fish tape through your boat, tape it to the long end, the 26-foot run, and pull it all the way to the front of the boat. You'll have another 13-foot run that'll come off at the dash. Once you've pulled your 2 tags out at the front and at the dash, you take your power wire from your units and you simply unscrew the connector, put your ground into the ground side, and put your hot with your fuse into the hot side. At the back, you connect the ground to the ground terminal on the battery and the hot to the on-off switch at the back. And you always want to run it to an on-off switch, and this is why. These units, every brand, they pull a little bit of power even when they're not turned on. So you do not want to be pulling your battery power down while you're trying to charge them up. This Sea Clear Power wiring harness will work on all 4 brands: Lowrance, Humminbird, Garmin, Ray Marine. It has two 20-amp fuses, so you can put up to 4 units on each line as long as you don't have something else that's pulling some amps. If you do, you just change the fuse at the back from a 20 to a 30, and you can put more on each line. You can find us at seaclearpower.com or ask about us at your local marine dealership. We want to help you find more fish and catch more fish, and we look forward to seeing you on the water.
All right, we're back. Like a well-oiled machine.
We're back, Pete.
We are back. I tried to extend that 1 minute break. I guess I missed it by a little bit.
Yeah, it was a 2-minute spot. It was, and still missed it. Your biological clock's off, bud.
All right. Well,
no.
I am 53. You know, is what it is. The glad to have you guys back. Lee was amazing.
That was good.
Man, what a great win. So cool. You know, it was interesting, you know, how he used, you know, his mapping to be able to target those bars under the mats, you know, like that was the winner right there, right? Yep. The Bassmaster, the mapping, so he could target the points on the ends of the islands, and that was one of the keys to finding the productive mats in the 0 to 3 foot range. And so few people are going to be setting their color codes that shallow, you know?
Yeah, Pete, if you remember, so when we shot the video the other day on, you know, the Humminbird graphs in your boat for the video for Bass University, I talked about how important the shallow water highlight. I'm saying shallow water. I'm not saying depth highlight. The shallow water highlight, because the shallow water highlight actually shows you when you're targeting like a lot of stuff from like 0 to 10. The shallow water highlight, I use it all the time because, especially on smallmouth lakes, like you can put the 0 to 10, you could be way offshore. There might be a hump out there that if you had it on depth highlight, you might miss it. So that's kind of the same thing I think Lee was talking about, the shallow water highlight, how important it actually is and not utilized. Basically is what I'm trying to say. So, you know, same thing. Check out that Bass University video. Riz said he had some good feedback, I guess, on that video.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people reached out to me, sent me text messages personally saying that you're a great instructor.
Good.
So
glad to hear. Well, just trying to help.
You did a great job.
I'm just saying it's the same thing I think Lee was kind of explaining. You know, there's other ways to utilize. You know, it might not be meant to be used that way, but it actually is a really good way to use it. What Lee did.
Yep.
So,
if you guys haven't seen it, check it out. It's GDP on the water, and I learned a lot. I was like focused on listening to you when you were describing that, because I was new to the Solix units, and you know, I'm still learning my way around and discovering more all the time. But you got a real easy way about it. It's clear that you have a good understanding of it. So check that out on bassu.tv, Greg's Sonar seminar.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of great seminars at Bass University that are, you know, launched all the time. I know a lot of you guys know, but let's take a look at what we've got coming up on Bass University TV. And we've got dissecting marinas. I tackle marinas this week. I just got dropped. And marinas are such a key deal any time of year. And we saw that happen this week down there at Chickamauga, how marinas, you know, played a big role and took a top 5 finish. Every season marinas play. And I talk about permanent fixed pole marinas, the floating marinas. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff on different types of marinas that exist around the country. JT Kenny's coming up with how to win bass tournaments. And Greg, you're back with us on October 26th. We're discussing 360 mega imaging specifically. So look for that, guys. It's a tool that you got to have. And that's coming on Bass University TV. And of course, a lot more. We've got Ot Defoe coming up and BLAT and KVD, tons of stuff coming on at Bass University TV. So a lot happening over here.
Yeah, Pete, you want to go through that top 5 list that you got sitting there?
I I would love to go through that top 5 list. And it's all about frogs. Did you get any more information or more details?
Yes.
BTC?
Yes, it is. It is what the pros are using.
What the pros are using?
Yeah. What's trending right now? According to our man JK, professional fish head at the Bass University.
Yep. And I'm going over to it, and I'm
who just qualified for a regional, by the way. JK just qualified for an FLW regional. Got the call today, so congrats, JK.
Yep.
We're sending you best wishes. Go down there and catch him up.
He's going to be at Lake Lanier, and it's right near him. Wish him all the best. We've got, it's interesting because we saw so many people win tournaments by going up the rivers in these reservoirs late in the fall. And I wonder if that's how the Lake Lanier tournament is going to be won. But we shall see. But this is professional fish head talking, and he is dialed in to what's happening out in the world of pro fishing and who's using what. And these are the top 5 frog lures that guys are using right now out on tour. And the first one is of most interest to me, and it's number 5 on the list. And John Cox was throwing it at Chickamauga GDP. Do you know what frog he was throwing?
I do not. But if I had a guess, I don't have a guess. What is it?
He was throwing a borrowed frog.
Oh yeah, I heard this story from Alex Davis, right?
Yes, from Alex Davis.
Yep.
He went fishing on Gunnersville, and they caught a monster bag of frogfish on Gunnersville.
Yeah.
And he didn't have any. Cut it off his line, and he used that frog in this tournament to make a top 10, and that was a snag-proof fat frog, is what John used, and
he's so ridiculous.
Who, John?
Yeah. I mean,
dude, that's just his style, man.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he caught a fish on day 4 at like 12 o'clock noon. He has 0 fish in the boat, and he's laughing as he's reeling it in like,
I saw that.
We're not going to 0 today.
Yeah.
I would be angry at that fish. I'd be like yelling at it when I get in the boat.
He's
He's
so laid back. I
need that.
Every time I get in a bag line, I'm with John Cox, like the last 3 tournaments.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, man, it's a good day. I just went out there and did my thing. he's just John Cox. There's no other way to explain him.
He is my favorite fisherman to watch.
Yeah.
He's like happy John Cox. That should be his tagline.
Smiling John. That's what Pat Renwick calls him. Smiling John Cox.
Does Mercer have a name for him? A nickname yet?
I don't know.
I wonder.
Huh?
Dave, you watching?
Yeah.
I maybe his nickname will be, I don't know, measure fish on the cooler, John Cox.
Right.
Did he do
He
that?
was getting.
Yeah,
he was
multiple
getting.
times. He doesn't have
He
a
was
bump
getting
board.
like Zona was losing it. Zona was losing it. It's like, and BTC, you can appreciate this. He's like, man, I had a golden rule, and it's not here now. It was in the other boat, and so he's using his Crestliner cooler measuring
He is hilarious.
thing, and he's measuring his fish, and he's just having a ball doing it, and I'm having a ball watching him. But
he didn't have a graph on the front of his boat at the Classic. And when I asked him why, he said, I left it at the house. We love you, John.
Can you imagine fishing that free?
Oh.
Like, it's like there's never any pressure there. It's always happy. I admire that so much.
Insane. Oh my God.
He kind of reminds me of Callan a little bit. Just shows up whenever.
Yeah.
Last minute.
Yeah, last guy to put the boat in.
Yeah.
You guys know I fished with him a couple years ago at ICAST, and that's the exact experience. He showed up late. Boats were already launching. They were already going, and John wasn't even in the water yet. And we got there was 4 of us in the boat, and he's just throwing some rods in there, grabbed some bags of plastic, threw that in there, and off we went. Finished second, had the winning fish on. They called our number. We weren't even ready to go. It was whatever.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
He reminds me of me, where I don't have my insurance papers, so I'm stuck. The whole tournament leaves, and and I don't have anything ready to go.
Yeah, it's your maiden.
I felt bad for you.
Yeah, well, it's John. John takes it to another level, but he makes it work, man. He's so relaxed, and that there is something to be said for that. He's always having fun, and he's fun to watch, man. He's my favorite angler to watch right now, fishing, and he comes in at number 5, and he was throwing the fat frog. Number four comes in. Let me see if you guys know this. We should know it, but Lee was using this frog this week to win this tournament. Do you guys know which frog he was throwing?
You asking us or the board?
I'm asking the board. To you guys.
Well, I think he said it.
Yeah.
He said it. He said he's throwing the scum frog launch frog.
That's right. Good. Very nice, Rich. Grab yourself a TH Marine handle or something.
There you go, Rich.
All
right.
Whatever's on the table. I didn't see BTC chiming in on it. You win the prize.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
No,
Scum.
I did not know the answer. Thank you, Pete.
It's a scum frog, the scum launch frog, and another frog, which was kind of cryptic, but we don't know what other frog he was throwing or what the difference was.
I bet it's number 1 on your list.
Yeah, maybe it was number 1 on the list. But chartreuse was definitely the key, and flying in the face of everything and cutting his tails off, like cutting them completely off, putting weights on them, eliminating short strikes. GDP.
I'm for it, man. I'm with him. I understand it totally. I get it.
Yep.
Now, is that specific to fishing that heavy mat?
Yes.
Although
he said he did it. He said he does it all the time.
Yeah, Lee did say he does that all the time.
Yep.
I think there's times where the legs help you sometimes, honestly.
Yeah. I maybe not, but GDP may be the answer we're looking for.
Yeah.
The number 3 is the most common. Well, this is
please.
The snag proof Bobby's Perfect Frog is the number 3 frog.
Where's this? I know JK gave you the list, but who actually wrote the list?
He did.
Oh, he did.
He gathers
this is
the
personal.
info.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, he pulls it from like data of wins
Gotcha.
and
Yeah.
Good job, JK.
Yep, he gathers it from data, from conversations that I pay for as a Bass University employee, and various other sources. But the number two is, of course, a frog that I recognize. And because we got number 1 and number 2 left. What do you guys think is the number 1 frog that is thrown by the pros?
That's easy.
I'm gonna say it's a Spro.
Yeah.
Spro, BTC,
Spro.
triple
Except for I saw the list,
Spros,
so.
and not a Spro in the number 1 spot. Spro is number 2.
Really?
Okay.
That's right.
That's hard to believe.
Spro is number 2. The Bronze Eye Frog, of course, it is the best seller times a million at Tackle Warehouse and everywhere else. And it was great. Man, if you guys haven't watched it, go back and watch the Dean Rojas.
Oh, that was awesome. Dean was really
It was
good.
a really great show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dean was so genuine and just laid it out there. And, it's all about frog fishing. That's Bass University Live. You guys can go check it out. But number 1, which is a surprise to me, but
Let's guess.
all right,
Before you say
let's hear some guesses.
The
What
only
do you got?
guess that I have would be like a booyah frog.
Booyah frog, which has not been discussed yet. Riz, you got a guess?
Terminator. Rapala Terminator.
Terminator, which we had on the show for display tonight.
new
And of
Mullick
course,
frog.
BTC, do you want to guess? You already know the answer because you saw
can't
it.
guess.
Black Senko.
That's Pete's number 1 frog.
with a Senko trailer.
That's right.
This is hollow belly
Yeah.
frog, correct?
Yeah.
It
Yep.
is.
Yep.
It is. River to Sea.
Really?
Matt
Wow.
Daddy Frog
Wow.
is secretly the number 1 frog being used by the pros out on
That's the
tour
frog
right
that has the patch on top right here, right?
No, that's Freddy's frog.
That's
No.
a Freddy frog.
Oh, that's a Freddy frog.
That's,
for base,
that's the
yeah.
Boom Boom
Okay,
Frog.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
River to
Got
Sea,
the-
that's the one that Ish designed.
Is that?
It's got to be.
You might be right. Yeah.
What was the name of it, Pete?
It's the River to Sea Matt Daddy Frog.
Isn't the Fat Daddy also one of their frogs?
Man, I got to be honest. I don't own one of those frogs, and I'm seeing it for the first time. So now I'm going to go get some. But I don't know. But it's the frog fur is on the Boom Boom frog, and that's unique. I've thrown that frog. Fred and I threw that down in Mexico, which you can also see on Bass U TV, and that frog crushed them down there. And that was the most amazing, frog fishing experience. I was fishing with Freddie, and it was unbelievable how many strikes he could draw. And I was fishing behind him, but it was truly amazing how he could make those fish respond in the grass, outside of the grass, and using that bait in ways that most people would never throw a hollow belly frog.
Yeah, that's why I think the legs are important sometimes. When you're in open water, I think when you stop that frog, them legs are still doing something like this.
That's true.
That's what I think about it.
Yep. And Lee says that they'll hit that darn leg and not get the hook,
Yeah.
Which is a valid point, man. You got to assess your strike to catch, But River to Sea, Matt Daddy Frog. Can you throw up a picture for us, BTC?
Nope.
What that frog looks like?
Can't do it.
You can't do it.
Nope.
So that fur patch on the Boom Boom frog, is that so when the fish eats it, it stays in its mouth? Is that why it's there? Anybody know?
Yeah, it's supposed to get snaggled into
a gripper.
Yeah.
Dude, when we were taking, and you can go back and watch the video, but when we were unhooking the frogs, you gotta like pull that frog out of the fish's teeth.
They should do like a whole frog on top with that whole mat on top. Never get away.
Yeah.
You got to hook it. You just reel it in.
Yeah.
A whole frog.
Like take the frog and put the whole top of that patch. Take the whole frog and make it one big patch. You just throw it in.
Freddie fur.
Right? Make it the whole body. Why make it just a patch?
Right?
Yeah.
Don't even put hooks on it.
Let's throw one of those fuzzy tennis balls out there.
There you
just
go.
Roll that around on top of the water.
I bet they'll bite it.
Right.
Well, down in Mexico,
we're in Lee.
Yeah.
Down in Mexico, that would work, Riz. Everything works down there, man. That place is sick with fish.
Wow.
But, I'm seeing something pretty cool sitting in front of you, GDP. I see it looks like a Flambeau tackle box of some kind. What do you have up there?
Yeah, so this is Brian, did this win iCast also?
I have no dang.
For some reason, I think it did. So this is the new Flambeau blade crate, which basically, it's more or less designed for spinner baits, but you can hang chatterbaits, swim jigs, anything that has like a skirt where you're hanging it with a hook. It's got clips inside of it. You can see it pretty good on there.
Yeah.
It says it holds 42. I have mine at home, dude. I got mine jam-packed. The sides are probably bubbling out. I got so many in there. But the cool part for me was with mine, you can see it has individual sleeves and it has the hangers. I have my spinner baits by color and by size per, sleeve. So I have like 4 or 5 spinner baits in every single groove just jammed in there. It's actually, Flambeau's coming out with some really cool stuff that for a guy like myself that's really organized, it makes it even easier because in my boat, literally the Ziploc bag that I had was for my spinner baits, and now I have a spot for it. So I'm kind of really happy about that. So it's a really cool thing.
What about for a guy like me that's disorganized?
You need to start buying Flambeau stuff then. That's all it comes down to. And same thing, it's a Max Z Rust. It's sealed. It's a lockbox, can't get wet. So that's the cool part too. You're not because spinner baits.
I hate when the blades on a spinner bait get tarnished and it just.
Oh yeah.
Same with a chatterbait too. It just is going to eliminate that. They're hanging. If they are wet, you hang them in there. They're going to dry out. It's going to just drip off of it. It's not laying in water this time.
Right. Yeah. And it's got the Z Rust technology in there too.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they got some good stuff, man.
Yep. We love Flambeau, and of course, if you're a subscriber to Bass U and you're a hunter, they've got tons of hunting products that you can go over and get some great deals on through Bass University TV. So check all that stuff out. And What's next on our agenda? We have a bass. Well, do we want to take some questions from Bass University, or do we want to get into the Riz's Bass U experience, his Bass U hack, which I love, that is based on Sonar, and what you're doing out on the flats right now, Riz. Do you want to tackle that right now?
Yeah, I don't want to because I don't want to tell people, but I will because this is the Bass University Live, and that's what we do. We give up great information. So you twisted my arm. It's behind my back. Now I'm going to do it. So on the bodies of water that we fish, Greg, Pete, Brian, grass plays a huge factor at all times of the year, and specifically where the grass grows. And on a body of water like where we fish, grass grows relative to depth changes and minor ditches that are all over a great big giant grass flat, right? So if you show up to the Chesapeake Bay, say, in early April, and the grass is just starting to grow and it's subsurface, it may take you 2 hours to map out one ditch and be able to identify the contour changes and where the grass is growing on the specific spots of the ditch by literally going in a zigzag motion across the ditch. And I've done it this way too. And you have to. When you find something new, you got to map it out. And going from a side to side to side and dropping a pin on each side of the ditch. That's how you have to do it if the grass isn't surfaced out. Well, this time of the year, on a place like the flats, on mid to low tide, the grass is actually to the surface to the point where you can see it and you can run it. And you can run on plane alongside the edge of these grass beds, which outline ditches. So in the fall time of the year, you can map out ditches and grass lines in 5 minutes of what it would literally take you hours to map out in the springtime because the grass is still subsurface. So the tip is that if you're on a body of water in the late fall where the grass is surfaced out and it has channels or ditches or depressions that, you know, are players earlier in the year, even if it's not a player this time of the year, it makes good sense to take an hour, 2 hours, and map out all those ditches by running on plane alongside the grass lines parallel and hitting a waypoint every couple seconds. And in minutes, you'll have an entire mile-long stretch of a ditch or a depression or a drain mapped out, where if you go back early in the springtime, it'll take you hours. So that's my tip. That's my hack. If you're on a body of water that features grass and ditches, give it a shot. You'll be able to map that place out really quick this time of the year, late fall.
And to me, that was inspired by what Gray Buck was telling us on Bass University Live, where he was talking about going to places in off season.
Yep. Yeah, and it's the opposite. It's the opposite of what Gray does. So what Gray does is Gray goes to places before the grass grows and marks the hard stuff, the rocks, the logs, the laydowns, the different features on the bottom. And then when he goes back and the grass is there, he knows where that stuff is. So basically what I'm doing is I'm marking out where the grass grows and why the grass grows there relative to the depth changes of the ditches, so that when I come back in the spring, I now have all these ditches mapped out.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's great. And what you're doing is amazing. And it's work that is so beneficial. And what Gray taught us about, you know, going in the early season. And I've done that and found rock outcroppings that exist in grass beds that you would never know unless you went in early season. But one of the things that I think is really key, and you're doing a lot of this stuff, I don't know about the tide phase, but one of the things that I like to do when the grass isn't present is use the high tide to float the boat, because my side imaging can go out so much further on a high tide scenario. And a lot of guys don't deal with tides, but maybe flooded lakes and flooded, you know, in the springtime when your waterways are up, you can see out so much more effectively on high water. And, you know, so using that high tide to be able to find different things like, you know, anything from barges to ditches to rocks to whatever you're interested in. But I found that high tide to be real, and the fish usually aren't biting in high tide GDP, so it's a good time to be out working with your sonar.
No doubt, man. If you want to get even more into it, you can go out there in the wintertime and do Auto Chart Live and just make your own graph.
Tell me about Auto Chart Live, GDP. I meant to ask you about that because I knew Riz's hack, and how could Riz and the rest of us use Auto Chart Live to help us in that scenario?
Yeah, so if you were to purchase the Helix or even a Solix, you have an option on there called Auto Chart Live, which is so simple. It's a click of a button. And what it actually is, the unit it's going to use the side imaging basically, but it's going to graph out as you drive, and it's going to build a map. So let's say you show up to a lake that has, it's featureless as far as your mapping goes. You can pull up to it, and here we live in South Jersey. There's hardly any contour maps. So I can pull up to, let's say, Union Lake, which has a little bit, but I can make an actual physical map on the graph. Now, on a Helix and a Solix, if you were to just run Auto Chart Live, you're going to get 6 hours out of your graph. That's how much data it can actually hold. But you have the option to buy an SD card that Humminbird sells that's unlimited, and you can do as many lakes as you want to, and you can store them on your computer, and you can label every one of them. So Auto Chart Live is a really cool feature because, like I said, I mean, you can basically build your own personal map anywhere you want to go. And the place we fish on the Upper Bay, the Flats, on any chart, it just shows as a big bowl out there, but there's so many features out there that you just don't know about. But you can make your own map because of Auto Chart Live.
And if you use an SD card, you can get more than 6 hours, right?
So Humminbird actually has an Auto Chart Live card you can buy, and it's, from what I know, it's unlimited.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have to have that card, or can you use a regular?
No, it has to be that card.
It has to be that card.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure it's some kind of encrypted card.
Okay.
On that graph. From what I know, it's unlimited.
Is it 6 hours for one graph?
If you're linked, you're only going to get 6 hours out of it, I believe. So if your graphs are linked, if they're not linked, you can do 6 and 6, but it's pointless because you got to have them together to show the same chart.
Sure.
Yeah. Which 6 hours is a lot of graphing time if you don't graph, but you can get a lot done in 6 hours.
It's nice for the electric only lakes too. I've done that a little bit at Sunset. Actually, one tournament I realized I had that feature on my graph. I turned it on and I fished through the areas that I had been fishing, and by the end of the day, what I thought I knew, now I could see.
Exactly.
And it really lays out,
It
helps with the process of, okay, I caught one here. Why did I catch one here?
Exactly. It's really cool, man. I mean, you're literally like, if you were to buy, like, let's say Lake Master for Lake Champlain, you could just see all that detail. But if you were to do it on a lake with no charts, dude, you're making the same exact thing you're looking at if you're buying Lake Master. It's the same exact thing. That's why it's so darn cool.
Greg, Lee C wants to know, for your graphing process, what speed do you use on your boat, and also do you use a specific pattern when you're graphing out a lake?
Pattern which way? That's the question. So, yeah, so if you're going to do Auto Chart Live, is this for the question for that?
Yep.
So for Auto Chart Live, as far as my speed, Auto Chart Live, I mean, I normally just go a little bit faster than idle for Auto Chart Live. Auto Chart Live seems to be pretty quick as far as, it's just reading the data off the bottom and it's bouncing back up, so it's pretty fast, it seems like. I've actually gotten on plane before in Auto Chart Live and it still graphed.
Okay.
Playing around with it. Now, as far as actually doing Auto Chart Live, as you're doing Auto Chart Live, and I think it probably depends on the depth too, because you can see as you're graphing, you'll have your icon of your boat, and then it's going to show basically, as you go, it's showing the width.
Yep.
You can go to your width and go back up and stay parallel just to the one you did just on the outside.
Right.
And you can see the map build right in front of you.
And so like when you say you Auto Chart Live on a place like the Flats, where some of those changes are literally 2.3 to 1.9.
You can set it to where it's going to do the color difference as you go.
Wow.
Yes. And there's another option too. Look, I think it's called mosaics, where you can actually get even more detail out of it. But you can do depth highlight. Once you build it, you can do exactly the same thing you can do with Lake Master.
Yeah, that's a huge tool for the Flats. I can see it out there because the Flats are so.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so subtle.
Yeah.
know?
I mean, Humminbird to me, Humminbird may go to like, and I'm not just saying this. They're getting to the problem was for years. This is the problem. The problem was for years that there's so many different companies out there that offer so different things. Humminbird's getting to the point where they're offering every single thing of every company that has the best. And that's why, to me, the One Boat Network is so crucial, because you're getting everything out of one company.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference, and that's why I chose to run them guys.
Yep.
And I can tell you from other guys' experiences, too, there's a lot of guys on tour that are sponsored by certain companies, and they're running Humminbird underneath their console just because of Lake Master. It's so darn good.
Yep.
So nice.
So user friendly too. Like setting up Humminbirds, and
they're easy.
Like not to knock any of the other ones, but I've had the opportunities to get other graphs through just people we know and everything for some really good price. I won't do it.
Yep.
Because Humminbirds, I know how to set them up. I'm confident what I'm looking at. Like you get used to something, and why change? So
I love them, man.
Well, let's shout out to Humminbird and appreciate all they do, and and they make some amazing stuff. But we have some great prizes right now to give away. We have a like and share contest winner, guys. If you haven't done it yet, this is your last chance. Go out if you're watching us over on Facebook, loafing, like and share, and we're going to hook you up with some cool prizes. And we have a grand prize giveaway as well. So let's start giving away some of this stuff. Do we have a grand prize winner ready now?
Well, we have a grand prize. We have a grand prize trivia question that we can throw out there, Brian. If you're, I'm ready for it. If
Go ahead.
Okay. The grand prize trivia question for tonight is: what state record black bass has been on the books the longest? That is, again, what state record black bass has been on the record books the longest? And that is the grand prize trivia question for our Bass University TV subscribers. While we're waiting for that answer, guys, if you're on Facebook, here's your last chance. Like and share tonight's feed to get yourself a $75 TH Marine prize pack. But without any more waiting, I'm going to jump on the message board now because I know that our guys are going to get this quick. So,
and thank you to Ken Duke for that trivia question.
Yeah, I want to guess at that before we give the answer away. I can't possibly be right because it would be too easy.
Wow.
But
got it ready.
We already got it.
Good, Pete. What's your guess?
My guess is Georgia. George Perry.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
You got it.
Ken Duke on the message board got it right.
Congratulations, Kurt Ratliff. Kurt Ratliff was the first one to come in with the answer. It was Georgia.
These guys are good, man.
Yeah.
Man, they're sneaky. Well, I mean, like forever, that Georgia record was the world record, and I think it still is the world record, even right now.
In the world of Georgia.
I'd love for Ken to be on to discuss it, but the California guys, Japanese guys have all had contenders that have been disqualified. I think there's one that has tied it. I don't even know the status of it right now, but the entire time I've been bass fishing, it's been George Perry and his 21 or 22 pound bass. I don't even know what the weight is that came out of Georgia. And I want to ask him. We got to find it. Where did that fish supposedly come from? Because in where we live, it's Mananico Ponds.
Yeah,
it's the state record. I think it's 10-15. But everybody you talk to says no. That fish didn't come from there.
Yeah, I heard there's this story about. So I got a question for you, Pete. You didn't know the answer to that trivia? You didn't see it in the notes?
I didn't see it in the notes.
Oh,
no.
So what's that saying?
Well, I don't know. I knew the answer.
Pete doesn't read the notes. That's my takeaway from this.
You don't have to. He knows the answers.
I try to avoid the trivia question so I can be spontaneous when it comes out. That's my answer to that question.
Yeah, I think that's it's about it for us tonight.
Facebook like and share.
Facebook like and share. We're going to hit that.
Yeah.
Greg,
yo,
what you got? Shout out to Kelly.
Yeah, what's up, Kelly? You watching?
What's up, Kelly?
Message us.
How you doing, girl?
Or Brian. Brian would love that.
I know.
Yeah.
Lee's fiance is a redhead as well.
Yes, she is.
Indeed.
Yeah.
You guys have that in common.
Yeah. You want to hear a quick story about Lee's fiance?
Yes.
So
take your time.
Last year, that slow or no?
Yeah. No,
so last year we're at the St. Johns River, first event of the year. I didn't know Lee Livesey. I didn't know his fiance. I didn't know anybody. So,
but you saw a redhead and you were like,
well, let me tell the story.
All right, sorry.
So I'm in the tank, the holding tank before you go on stage. I'm standing there. Lee's right in front of me, and like Lee doesn't turn around. I don't talk to him, nothing. But his fiance is right behind him. She turns around to me and she goes, "Wow, you look way different in person." And that was the only thing she said, and I was like dumbfounded. I was like, "Okay." That was our conversation. It was so weird.
Huh.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I just
Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You know?
Yeah. Thanks,
What is
Lee's
it?
fiance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big shout out.
Come
to her.
on. You draw the redheads,
That's
GDP,
it, man.
you know?
Oh, shout out to Bass U subscriber Andre Albernaz. Did I say that right, Rich?
Yeah, Albernos.
Yeah, Andre recently purchased a Sea Clear Power harness and is experiencing wonderful results.
Heck yeah.
Outstanding.
I got one coming this week, man. I am so pumped to get that thing. I got a Sea Clear harness coming. I got another Helix 9 sitting in my kitchen waiting for me to put it on the boat. I'm waiting for the Sea Clear harness to come in. So
Yeah, you'll benefit from it, Rich.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I mean, if you've ever had any trouble with your units blinking or having a hard time finding bottom, having a hard time turning on, it's a tremendous harness that, delivers great power, and it's designed specifically for sonar operation. So if you're having any trouble, it's the way to go. If you're not having any trouble, it's the best harness in the business. So check it out, Sea Clear Power.
Yeah, and I'm having trouble with my units. I can't get them to get the fish that are on the units to bite. I don't know if there's a setting for that, correct?
There is a setting for that.
All right.
Yeah, it's called Bass University.
That's right.
It ain't working.
Chew it up. We got
You don't listen.
we got a Facebook like and share winner here. Brent Beckman is tonight's Facebook like and share winner.
All right.
Congratulations, Brent. You won yourself a $75 prize pack from TH Marine. That includes a G-Force handle, a prop nut G-Juice, and a Tackle Titan. Congratulations, man. That's headed your way.
I got to get a pair of gloves, dude. It's glove season, and I found out that stuff will blow out of my boat. Gloves.
Gloves will blow out of your boat.
Yeah, so I need another set. Anyhow.
ETC?
They got a good set of...
AFCO's got some good ones.
Ice Force gloves on the Rapala VIP program are available to you. So go check them out, as they are available to all Bass University TV subscribers.
Right on.
At an amazing discount. So
Brian and I are fishing a tournament this weekend.
You are where?
The Chesapeake.
Oh, you're fishing with Brian?
Yeah.
Brian, you want to fish with me?
Me and Brian are taking a run at it. That's messed up.
That's dirty.
I might bring Pete out there.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
That'd be a ringer team right there.
No, I think if I go this weekend, I already got somebody.
Who you got?
Some guy named Joe.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Joe Hunt?
Joe Mama.
No.
Joe Mama?
Joe Thompson.
Oh, Joe Thompson? All right.
Upper Bay Slayer.
Yeah, right on.
yes, he is. What's the derby this weekend? Is it a Saturday or Sunday derby?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Damn, you guys are fishing together? I got to go now.
Yeah. And, so I'm fishing Saturday with Rich on the flats, and then Sunday up on Merrill Creek with Eric. Last chance to get after him on Merrill this year, so.
Why, is it closed?
No, it's just the last tournament
Oh.
that I see up there.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Steve Carey from Binsky wants to fish one with me. Eric won't have it.
Mhm.
He won't. He'll be at the ramp. He won't allow it. He'll make it awkward. He'll lay down in front of the ramp.
Maybe next year.
He will not allow me to have anyone else in the boat on Merrill Creek.
That's fine.
But yeah, no, dude, I'd love to get out there with you. But anyhow, that's a wrap, Peter.
Hey, that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, go to bashu.tv and use the code BASHULive30. 30 days free. If you're listening over on iTunes, go check it out. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Lee Livesey. Thanks, GDP.
Yeah, man.
Best of luck. I guess we won't see you again until after Lake Ford.
I'm here next week if you guys are doing one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Here.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we'll have one more show before you depart. Wish it, and send you off to win that tournament and make another classic.
I like it.
And
my
we'll
last
talk
chance.
about how much money you guys have won down the flats this weekend.
There you go.
Yes.
That's the expectation. All right. Hey, thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. Thanks, BTC. Thanks, Riz. We'll catch up with all you guys real soon. We'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Bass University Live. Good night, everybody.